Hello, welcome to Brighton Your Corner Ministry. My name is Cindy Ann Lewis Walcott, and we are studying life lessons from the Holy Bible. You don't have to be religious, these lessons are for holistic living. Today's lesson can have many names, but I will start with it's a lesson in dealing with people who I will call destabilizers. I haven't figured out a proper name yet, so we're going to get the name in the studies. And we're going to study this lesson in Exodus chapters 5 and 6. So we know now that Moses and Aaron met and they went into Egypt and they went boldly into Pharaoh and made their demand based on what God asked for. And Pharaoh wants to know who they are, who are you? And they didn't go and say, Pharaoh, let my people go. They asked for 3 days, a 3 day break for the people to go into the wilderness to pray to God or to make sacrifices to their God. And he asked who their God was, and it was explained. And then in turn, he said, oh, the people are too idle. That's why they have time to ask, for time to go and pray. At 3 day journey, and he rebuked Aaron and Moses for talking nonsense in the people's head and taking them from doing their jobs. So now he made life harder for them. He's added more tasks. They're not going to be getting the straw to make the thing now readily available. They're going to have to go get the straw themselves. The straw is not going, he made it really hard for them. And what happens, as you would see probably in your daily life, you come across things like that. For me, on the job, it has to do with work action and labor movements and stuff. It's the same kind of concept here, where you would be fighting for a cause, and you would find people who would go in and they don't want to go through the hardship or of what it takes to attain that thing. They would go behind your back and sneak around and do things and try to make life easier for themselves. Those are selfish people. And this is what we're seeing here, that now because the people are having a harder time, although there is a lesson here, because there's only so much a person can take, which Pharaoh doesn't know. And it happened too in the black history as well. There is only so far. You can only push a person so far. So Pharaoh adding more to their burden should be the trigger to encourage them to really work together with Moses and Aaron to make sure they get their freedom. But instead, what they did, they turned around and went to Pharaoh, and begged Pharaoh and say, please, have mercy on us. It's not us doing it, it's these two guys. Um, don't blame us for what Moses and Aaron's talking about here and doing. And Pharaoh didn't bend to the beggars, the people who came and asked for their burdens to be lighter. He said, no, it's because you're too idle. You sit down and listen to this nonsense. Now I expect you I expect you to do the work and go find your own straw and make the brick and all that yourself. And you're gonna carry it lots more. You're gonna suffer a lot more now because you had enough time to listen to these guys. They now, because so Pharaoh didn't ease them up, even if, and people need to know this. This is happening in the beginning of our story as we know it, in our life story as we know it. This is the oldest historical piece, or however you want to call it. But for me, it's a historical, it's a chronicle here. This is the oldest example we have of this happening, and it still happens today, where you will be fighting. Let's say I'm fighting for people to get better washrooms at work, and I ask for a work action that, we stand outside until we get a better washroom. There'll still be people that would sneak away and say, listen, I would use the washroom the way it is, even if it makes me sick. So give me, don't punish me. People will do this all the time, and I'm glad this lesson is here for us to see. So for leaders and people who are trying to make life better for marginalized people. And there was a comedy, a British comedy, I think, where one lady had the line of saying that people who need to be led don't know that they need to be led, and people don't know what their needs are And even if we're trying to give them what they want, they don't know that we're trying to give them what they want. So they think what they find ways to kind of destabilize your action. And this is what's happening here. They're trying to make Moses and Aaron look like they're on their own agenda. It's not an agenda for the entire race or the entire tribe. And it is a beautiful lesson. And Moses and Aaron now goes back to God. Moses goes back to God because Moses is human and he feels dispirited, like most of us will, when we're trying to help marginalized people and they in turn go against us. Most people will just give up and say, well, what am I doing it for? I'm okay. Moses was okay where he was. He didn't need to be there. And 99% of people will do this, but there's the strong 1% who will still. And I like that Moses went back to God here and said, look, at these people would not listen to me. And God assures him again, I have this set up. I have it. You don't worry. You just keep doing what I ask you to do. And he's like, well, they won't listen. You asking me to go back to Pharaoh? My own people now and listening to me. How am I going back to Pharaoh? And God says, I got this. So this lesson is here for us, especially people who advocate for weak and marginalized, vulnerable and marginalized people. You are going to find that the people you're trying to help are going to be the one that's going to try to destabilize progress. They're going to be the ones that's going to get in your way. They're going to be the ones that's going to be taking all what you discuss in your group, your core group, your confidential ideas, and they're going to give it to the opposition. This is going to happen. And this lesson here is here to remind us to be aware of these things and do not give up, because Moses is going to go back and consult with God, who is his mentor, his guide, and everything. It's also, God's also there for us too. If you have the calling, even if you've been forced into leadership and you didn't want to do it, do not give up, as the lesson is here to encourage us to keep doing the right thing. So you're going to come across destabilizers. You're going to come across people who are going to sell you out. Not just derail you, but sell you out fully. Don't give up. The lesson is here in Exodus chapters 5 and 6. I hope, especially for the leaders, I hope this will be an encouragement for you. Read this and see. Actually, from the beginning, with Moses advocating for this man who, when he killed the Egyptian, people turned against him. Even when he tried to help, when he tried to free them, it's the same thing. They don't want to go through a little bit of hardship. And I think that is something like the red hen story. And there are many sayings out there about people who they just want life easy. So they want to enjoy it. If they got the freedom, they'll be happy. But they're not willing to put in the work. They're not willing to suffer a little. And, they say there's no gain without pain and lots of things like that. You got to put the work in and you will suffer a bit. This lesson is for everyone, not just the leaders, but the people who are in marginalized or vulnerable situations. It will seem easier for you to sit and do nothing, or for you to go and destabilize the other person because you feel somewhat comfortable where you are. And that could be because day after day, the oppression and the stress of life has brought you to the point where you just accept being in the default. Just sit there and do nothing and accept what's going on, the situation you're in. But you don't have to. And there are people out there who would fight for you. So do not be the one to go ahead and try to derail the plans of people who are trying to help you out. Don't follow these guys' example in terms of going to Pharaoh and begging, for things to be better. They made themselves look weaker and really silly here because Pharaoh didn't even listen to them. So it would have been better off, and now they're angry with Moses, but it would have been better off if they came together with Moses and say, okay, let's see, Pharaoh's been tough, he's going to try to think, we're only going to let him push us so far. I remember once my friend, I have a Trinidadian friend who said to me, these modern kids are so different to our generation. When we were growing up, if something like this happened, we would get together. If Moses went to Pharaoh for us and Pharaoh said, okay, it's harder work for you, we would get together and say, let's get with Moses and see how we can get rid of Pharaoh. We would have overthrown him. I'm Grenadian. Well, I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and I hope it would be an example and an encouragement for people out there who are trying to do good and coming across stumbling blocks like this. It happened to Moses, who's in the Bible here as an example for us. So take courage, have confidence, have faith, and ask God's presence, ask God's guidance. It's going to get better. In the end, all those who were there, uh, cussing off Moses and going and begging Pharaoh in the secret or on the sly, they were all happy when they finally got their freedom. And it was because God wanted to set this process up, that it would be to the limit, where Pharaoh would push these people to the limit. And it comes like that in life, where you get pushed to a point, the breaking point. So it's either you let the situation ruin you, take over your life, or you get up and fight. And this story is going to lead us that way. Do not sit and do nothing. Get up and take action. All right. I've said enough. I'm really excited about this lesson. I hope you are too, and I hope you get much more than I'm giving you here from it. Have a beautiful day. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. Bye-bye now.